I thought it would be appropriate to bring in a little bit of John Hattie into this section, considering he is specifically name checked in this book. I forget which page he is on, but he is. They literally talk about one of his studies in Workflow Shift 7. Doesn't really matter, I guess. You don't need to know the exact page, but they talk about John Hattie and his meta analysis. So if you are unfamiliar with John Hattie's work, I'm going to give you a very very brief overview of it. He's got a really, really good book, John Hattie, Visible Learning, and he just put out another one like Visible Learning 2. Really, really good, because what he did was he conducted a meta-analysis, meaning he didn't do his own research. He grabbed a bunch of other education research and he's come up with this barometer that and like he's quantified this stuff in terms of effect size. So that's what we're actually looking at here. There's a couple different versions of this, but the numbers are what's really important. So um, this is like this zero point 0.4 number. This, like, if you see something with a 0.4 effect size, anything above and beyond that is like good stuff. So around 0.4, 0.45, that's like, it's like decent. And then as you start getting like those bigger and bigger numbers up there, that means these are things that we can do in the classroom with our students that will have a positive impact on their learning. Then obviously there's this other side of the barometer. This typical teacher effects, like the kid could just be sitting in your classroom and this stuff's going to impact them anyway. So things that fall into this 0.2 to 0.4 range, it's just, it's not bad stuff. It's not like harming them, but they're going to get that despite the teacher just going to be soaking those things up. These are things that are going to be happening without you. So just they've accounted just for like as they get older and they mature. And then these are things that will literally negatively impact their learning and harm them, and like result in learning loss essentially. And so what we're looking for are things that are up here, right? Like how can we really focus our efforts, and then like how do we remove these things? And yeah, it's a great way for thinking about what we do in the classroom. So that's again a very 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 broad and simplistic view of Hattie's work, uh, and it's really highly respected in the field just because he has done so much work and spent so much time gathering all of these different studies to really come up with this pretty reputable barometer to be looking at these different influences. So if you have not played with this tool, I highly recommend it. It's got this Meta X influences, and what you can see here are these are all of the different influences. And this is going to seem like a lot, but you'll notice I've curated the ones on feedback for you. These are all of these different influences here. There's a bunch of different things and a lot of stuff up here that we don't really need to go into. But like if we look at growth versus fixed mindset, right? This is like fostering that growth mindset. This is unplanned, and I actually don't know what uh, the meta-analysis score is on that. So what we do is we scroll over growth versus fixed mindset. Uh-oh, gotta pause the video. My wife's calling me. Okay, one rookie mistake. Always put the phone on do not disturb. Two, if you could hear the phone ringing and thought that was super creepy, it's my son's laugh, which is really adorable in a video, but disembodied as a phone ringer, very creepy. And three, one take videos, ladies and gentlemen. Don't start over. All right, so we were talking about growth versus fixed mindset. I scrolled over here and you can see the effect size 0.19, which is very interesting to me. You're seeing this in real time here because you'll notice this 0.19 fits firmly right here in this developmental effects portion. So if I go back to this and I click on growth versus fixed mindset, I can get a little bit more information, the different studies, when they took place, how like where they took place, so when and where, and then that effect size, and then a little bit of a like an overview, like a description of what exactly that means, and then likely to have a small impact. So like making it's not that it's like not a good thing to focus on. It's just we put a lot of focus on fostering a growth mindset when a lot of these studies will say that it's essentially just up to their development there, right? So interesting to think about. By no means are these going to give you like specific concrete answers, do X, Y, and Z. But it can help us focus where our learning is at. And that, or where we want to focus our learning. And that is what we're going to focus on here right now, because we're actually talking about feedback. So you'll notice that if I go back here, if I you can click on these to reorder them, and I can make it so why are they not in? There we go. Now they're in alphabetical order. I can scroll down and I can find feedback. And what you're going to notice is there's a ton of different types of feedback: feedback in technology, feedback in timing, uh, blah 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 blah. I'm going to ask you to explore these, but I don't want you to have to go through and look at this. I want you to have this resource just in case you wanted to look at it for some other things, because Hattie is a very respected name if you're unfamiliar with his work, and it's worth knowing about these things. It's part of the reason that I brought this in. What I want you to do is explore these influences down here specifically. So I came through and I grabbed and I linked directly to each of these different pieces of feedback. So if I go to comments versus grades here, if I click on that on the Padlet, you'll get uh, a little overview of the effect of comments or grades to improve learning. And you'll notice that the effect size is very low, right? So if the only feedback that we are giving our students is through comments on their work or grades, if you were to go back to here and you were to watch this video with Catlin Tucker and Katie Novak, they talked about how that was one of their like the impetuses or the sparks for them shifting feedback, because they're always giving it at the end of learning, and then there was no actionable steps for students to engage with that to actually impact their learning. If I click on timing here, I can scroll down and you'll see a 0.82 effect size. When we give feedback has a significant impact on student learning. 0.82 is a decent amount. So what I would like you to do is maybe start at the top and start at the top with feedback. So this is just overall feedback. Pretty good. Feedback is very clearly important. Take a look at those pages and just do some individual reflection. So what do these numbers mean to you? What questions do you have? Just what does this information about these different types of feedback, these different aspects of feedback, how does this inform the way you think about the importance of feedback in the classroom? And then when you are done looking at those, I would set a timer for no more than like 10 to 15 minutes, because you don't want to go down too far of a rabbit hole, but you do want to push yourself to dig into a little bit. So about 10 to 15 minutes once you're done with this video would be an appropriate amount of time. And at the very bottom of this column, click on this. The directions are right here if you want, but it's relatively self-explanatory. If you click on this, it's going to force you to make a copy of this reflection document. Wonder if I have it open. Nope. Oh, yes, I do. It's right here. This reflection document. And these are the different strategies, 4 of the strategies that are listed in the shift to student led. Their explanations are right here. So pure feedback choice board. So giving feedback to students, but allowing them to choose the format, so on and so forth. I won't explain those to you because you can click on them and explore them. What I want you to do is choose one of these strategies that you want to just think about a little bit. You're not going to be creating anything with it. You're just doing some applied reflection, and fill out this table down here below for some structured reflection. And that's it. Then you can move on to the next piece. So you're going to explore the Hattie resources for 10 to 15 minutes. You're going to make a copy of this document, choose one of these strategies from Tucker and Novak to focus your learning, and then do some reflection on how that applies to your classroom by answering these questions over here. So after reviewing the feedback strategies discussed, what would be most impactful for your students? Answer that question right over here. All right, you can move on to the next module.